Francis Scott Key was the lone county team playing a non-Carroll opponent, and the Eagles tried to put together a comeback against South Hagerstown after trailing by as many as 19 points. Jermaine Dawson ran for 100 yards and a touchdown, and Keandre Grooms added a rushing score. Ben Stevens threw a passing touchdown, but the Eagles came up short against the Rebels. Two teams are unbeaten in county play with 1 week to go in the regular season. Westminster and Winters Mill are getting ready for their annual city rivalry showdown. Liberty and South Carroll are each trying to get to 500 in county play, and the Mavericks are going after a winning regular season. Now, we mentioned Winters Mill and Westminster gearing up for their Week 9 showdown. The Falcons and the Owls are also playing for the Carroll County Championship. It'll be a first for Big Mill and a fourth in 5 seasons for Westminster. We'll have it for you as the CMSportsNet Game of the Week. Join me and Mike Krauth with our pregame show that starts at 6:45, followed by kickoff at 7. Let's talk about the Falcons now for a second. Winters Mill has rushed for more than 1,600 yards so far this season, but the Falcons will have to continue on without their leading ball carrier. Senior Caleb Crouch left last week's game with an injury and won't be back this season, a big blow to the Falcons. Crouch had 556 rushing yards to go with 469 passing yards from his quarterback spot. Plus, he's third on the team in tackles from his linebacker position. Westminster got a 95-yard touchdown run from senior quarterback Kyrese Walker that went a long way in helping the Owls beat Liberty last week. Senior linebacker Casey Heisig added 9 tackles and a sack to his season resume. Heisig leads the county now in tackles. Josser Donald has 9 sacks on the year. That's the most in all of the Carroll County Athletic League. Winters Mill's defense is still shining, and the Falcons are allowing less than 9 points per game. They look to slow down an Owls offense that has scored less than 20 points only one time through 8 games. The all-time series is one-sided, to say the least. In fact, Winters Mill has just 1 win over Westminster in its history, which started in 2003, and that was all the way back in 2007, that victory. Let's take a look at the quarterbacks ahead of Friday's matchup. Kyrese Walker has scored the most points in the county this season with 14 rushing touchdowns, and he eclipsed 1,000 rushing yards with his big game in Week 8. Austin Nutt's already has a TD pass in limited minutes, but he'll be the Falcon starter going forward, with Caleb Crouch being out due to that injury. Now it's time for the Coach's Corner, and let's hear from both coaches ahead of their big county championship matchup. First up is Winters Mill's Matt Miller, who likes the way his Falcons have handled their adversity in 2023. Let's take a listen. Coach, you guys have handled your share of adversity through the year. A little bit more to handle this week going up against Westminster this Friday. How have the kids absorbed the loss of Caleb Crouch this week, going into, last week I should say, going into this week in the regular season finale?
Me personally, I'm sick in my stomach because it happened. It's unfortunate. I get to come back and coach more football games. These kids have a finite amount to play, and it sucks. I don't know how else to quantify it. I think his buddies and his friends, they're upset by it, but our reality is we got to move on and prepare for a really good football team. So Westminster's not going to stop the care. So we gotta press on, and the good thing is we've had kids all year. When someone goes out, someone else steps up, and I don't expect anything less.
What does have to go your way? What are the keys to winning this game Friday against Westminster in the city rivalry?
We're going to do what we're going to do. With Austin in quarterback, he has a little bit more ability to throw, a little different ability to throw the ball. But we still got guys that can run the ball. We got guys that block, and we play decent enough defense. It's going to give us a chance.
You don't have to tell these kids what's at stake Friday. You talked earlier in the year about, you only have a certain amount of games to play. You just mentioned it right now. Is that all the motivation that you hope they need to understand what lies ahead Friday?
Yeah, you talk to people around. I don't think there's anyone outside of our group that really honestly in their hearts believes that we have a chance. And I think that motivates our kids. And I know other coaches will say the right things and you guys will say the right things. But, when it comes down to it, I don't think there's anyone outside of our little circle that believes that we can do it. And I think that's motivation enough, and it's just that much sweeter that it's Westminster.
Thanks to Coach Miller for his time. Now let's move over to Westminster now and Coach Chris Bassler, whose Owls are well aware of their familiar opponent this week. Coach, you don't need me to tell you how big this game is on Friday. A, it's for the county title, and B, it's for playoff positioning. How much have you spoken to that to your guys, or is it just a matter of, hey, let's go out there and take care of business and we'll see where the chips fall?
I think we talked about it a couple weeks ago about how we needed to be in playoff mode now, and I think this is just a continuation of that, and the fact that it is Winters Mill, and these kids all grew up together, and all that on top of it, I think just helps aid to just being a big game. And we've been in a lot of big games, and hopefully that'll help us.
You've told me year in, year out, and a lot of times this year, how much this rivalry, the kids know each other, and how even despite some of their down years and bad records, it's always a competitive game in the end, even though it's been one-sided. Again, you don't need to tell these guys the significance of that and how much they want to get a win just as much as you guys do.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I have a lot of respect for Coach Miller and his kids, and they always play us tough. And this year you look at what they're playing. I mean, they're just a good football team, and they do a lot of things that are going to challenge us. And we're going to have to play our best football to beat them. What
are some of the keys to the game early in the week? A lot of days ago before the game. What do you guys have to do well to get a win and move on?
I mean, I think first and foremost with them, it's stopping the run. They're a good running team. They got a lot of good backs. They've got an aggressive offensive line. Try to keep their run contained, and for us to just to play consistently on offense.
Can you sense in the guys, and it's we're nearing the playoffs now, and everyone wants to be playing their best ball right now, going into the next month. Is it a flip of a switch, or do you know that these guys realize it's playoff time?
I mean, I hope it's just a continuation of what we've done all year. Every week you're trying to get better and trying to build. And, I think we see that, week in and week out that, we are making improvements and getting better and making some strides. But there's still things we need to get much better at.
Thanks, Coach. Don't forget, we'll have all the action from Ruby Field on October 27th when Winters Mill takes on Westminster in the CMSportsNet Game of the Week. Mike Krause joins me for pregame coverage at 6:45, followed by kickoff at 7. Manchester Valley has the non-county game this week when the Mavericks host Williamsport. Liberty welcomes Century from just down the road in Eldersburg, and Francis Scott Key makes a trip to Parker Field to take on the Cavaliers. This is all in Week 9. South Carroll is going for a third straight win after an 0-6 start, while the Knights try to beat the Lions for the first time since 2015. Want more local sports coverage? Be sure to like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel.